The darkness of depression can feel like an insurmountable abyss, a desolate landscape where color fades and the future becomes a hopeless, blank canvas. For many, the sensation of being trapped under an overwhelming burden is a daily experience, rendering even the simplest tasks monumental efforts. This guide does not purport to be a generic wellness manual, but rather an intimate roadmap, designed for those who feel the current pulling them under, for those seeking a beacon amidst the storm. Understanding depression is not merely an academic exercise. It is a dive into an ocean of feelings that, while universal in manifestation, is intensely personal in its lived experience. Here we offer no quick fixes or empty promises, but rather a path traversed step by step, with the intention of reigniting the spark of hope that often seems extinguished. The context that brings us here is one of profound suffering, a disconnection from oneself and the world around. Perhaps you have tried before, seeking solace in advice that sounded distant and unattainable, as if directed at someone else entirely. The reality of depression is frequently marked by a deep loneliness, even when surrounded by people. It is the feeling that no one truly understands the internal battle being waged, the silent struggle against thoughts that distort reality and erode self-esteem. This journey proposes to acknowledge this authentic pain, to validate the experience of those who feel depleted and powerless. It is not about minimizing the gravity of the situation, but about finding a real starting point, anchored in your present experience, to gradually build a bridge toward a state of greater clarity and serenity. The problem we address is the paralysis imposed by the illness, the difficulty in taking the first step, or even the thought that a first step even exists. Depression robs energy, motivation, and the capacity to believe in a better tomorrow. It weaves a web of negative thoughts that become the lens through which the world is perceived. Faced with this, what remains is a sense of helplessness, the conviction that nothing can change. This guide distinguishes itself by focusing not just on the what of depression, but on the how we can begin to unravel its knots, with strategies that are measurable, achievable, and above all humane. This is not about a magical cure, but about a process of rediscovery, of replenishing internal resources, and of reconnecting with a sense of purpose that may have been lost. The unique angle of this script lies in its empathetic and pragmatic approach. Rather than getting lost in abstractions, we will delve into concrete actions, steps that can be taken today, right now, to begin rewriting the narrative. We understand that the journey to overcoming depression is not linear, that there will be setbacks and more difficult days. However, the objective is to provide tools and perspectives that allow one to navigate these challenges with greater resilience and self-compassion. This is an intimate conversation, an invitation to look inward, and with kindness, begin to rebuild a path toward the light. Hope is not something found out of thin air. It is something cultivated, something built brick by brick, and that is precisely what we propose to do together. The first and most impactful action we can undertake in the fight against depression is to restructure our internal dialogue. Frequently, depression manifests as a relentless critic, whispering lies about our inadequacy, our diminished worth, and the futility of our efforts. It is akin to having an enemy within one's own mind, one that distorts the perception of every event and every thought. To begin combating this internal tyranny, it is essential to become observers of our own thoughts. When you catch yourself ruminating on past failures or predicting a bleak future, pause. Question the veracity of these assertions. Are they facts or merely negative interpretations? This practice of healthy self-skepticism, while challenging initially, is the bedrock for dismantling deeply ingrained limiting beliefs. Begin by identifying a recurring negative thought. Then seek out evidence that contradicts it, even if it comprises small past victories or forgotten moments of overcoming adversity. Delving a little deeper into this territory, the technique of cognitive restructuring, while it may sound technical, is, at its core, an act of gentle self-confrontation. Consider, for instance, the thought, "I am a failure because my project did not achieve the expected success." Restructuring invites us to challenge this absolute conclusion. Instead, we might rephrase it to, "This specific project did not attain the desired outcomes, but that does not define my worth as a person. I learned important lessons from this experience, such as X and Y, which I can apply in the future. My capacity to try is, in itself, a sign of strength." Notice the subtle yet powerful shift from a destructive self-image to a more balanced and constructive evaluation. This does not mean denying disappointment, but rather contextualizing it, separating the event from identity. Another crucial layer for building hope is cultivating a sense of agency, even when we feel most powerless. Depression, by its very nature, strips us of our feeling of control over our lives. Inertia becomes an apparent refuge, yet it perpetuates the cycle of despondency. Introducing small, intentional actions, uncoupled from grand expectations of outcomes, can be revolutionary. This can range from the simple act of making your bed upon waking, a gesture that signals organization and self-care, to maintaining a hydration routine throughout the day. The key is to select activities that are achievable, do not demand a surge of energy or motivation, and can be rewarding in their execution. Consider how nature exemplifies this resilience. A tiny seed, submerged in the earth's darkness, does not await a miracle to germinate. It simply utilizes the available moisture and nutrients, propelled by an intrinsic force and a natural cycle of growth. Similarly, by introducing these small daily actions, you are providing nutrients for your own well-being. Each act of self-care, however minor it may seem, is a vote in favor of yourself, a silent reaffirmation that you are deserving of attention and care. Progression occurs through the accumulation of these small acts, which gradually supplant the narrative of passivity with one of proactivity, building a solid foundation for more substantial change. Consequently, the practice